use that, so that helps break down your conscious thought that, hey, this shit's not right. But you think, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to hell forever. Be judged as, terrible and always be in misery. No God would do that to a person. I wouldn't.
Well, you
think,
wouldn't think so.
for a finite crime. I mean, that's
Yeah.
even in our Constitution. You can't. The punishment can't be any more harmful than the crime. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Yeah, that's some crazy shit. Revelations, the Book of Revelations, when they included it, that's pretty much what the Christians wanted it to do. Made everybody
Yeah.
scared to death. And you better get your shit right and stay in the group, or
Yep.
you'll be smitten in hell, gnashing of teeth, and all that crap.
Oh yeah.
And it may not just be after death. Maybe while you're on this earth. Yeah, it's a fear tactic, and it's still used today. And you're right. I think it's one of the strongest things they've got. But it's just a gamble. People don't know it's there. They say, well, I just really wouldn't like that, so I'll just go ahead and believe anyway. Won't God know if I'm just saying I believe? No, it's all right. Fake it till you make it. I've heard that said more than once.
Yeah. I've heard that a few times. And like I said, that Pascal's wager, that's what they like. They like to have that hell to rebuff them.
Yep.
To make you think, well,
Yeah.
what's the harm in believing? Well, there's a lot of harm in believing.
If you're going to gamble, I wouldn't gamble on going to hell. You need to go my direction, because what's the harm if you do believe your whole life? Well, the harm is you've made a lot of other people suffer for your fucking dogmatic beliefs, but and you didn't get to live a life that was actually a loving life that loved your fellow man instead of hating certain ones you're told to hate.
Yeah.
It's like, what a life. All over a lie. But
Yeah, over a lie.
I thought, did you catch the one about the long spoons?
No, I didn't.
It said one of these old rabbis used to preach that the difference between heaven and hell was you had a group went to heaven, a group went to hell. And they were all given, they're sitting at the supper table, and they all had these long-handled spoons.
Okay.
And the ones in hell couldn't figure out how to feed them, so they couldn't reach out far enough. The handle was too long to dip stuff up and put in their mouth. So they were down in hell starving. And the ones in heaven were using the spoon to feed the person across from them. And they said the ones in heaven were doing fine. And that was supposedly the story of the long spoons described
shit.
heaven and hell.
Oh, hell.
Because I guess selfish people went to hell and
And
kind-hearted
generous
people went to heaven, and that was the treatment. You starved to death in hell, and you're just fat and happy in heaven. As long as you didn't get diabetes and heart attack and all that shit.
Yeah.
So whatever.
That's like that picture, the saying or whatever. Bob has 32 candy bars. Bob eats 32 candy bars. What does Bob have? Diabetes.
Poor Bob.
I mean, what
Bob's
does he
like
have
me.
left? What does he have left? Diabetes. Shit.
I read one of these. This is the one that got me. I don't know how far you went into it, but ancient Egypt with the Osiris cult.
I read a little bit of it, but I didn't get too far into it.
Let's see. Let's see. If they had led a life in conformance with the precepts of the goddess Mat, who represented truth and right living, the person was welcomed into the heavenly reed fields. If found guilty, the person was thrown into Ammit, the devourer of the dead, and would be condemned to the lake of fire. Sounds a lot like Christianity, doesn't it?
It does. That sounds an awful lot like it.
It's just like the Jews and the Christians have borrowed from every religion, that the nastiest things from each religion that they loved, they've adopted as their own.
Yeah.
And, the lake of fire forever.
And this-
Gee. And then at the end you get judged, it's annihilation if you don't make it into the, whatever, Osiris's nut petting or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
I was impressed when I read that. I thought, shit, that sounds a lot like... Because they never really matched the Greek hell, except the punishment part.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're saying you're going to burn in hell forever, but they're also saying, well, if you was a glutton here, you're down in hell, you're going to be worse or whatever. Your punishment would have to do with the sin you created. If it was murder, you would be murdered forever, and
Yeah.
different things. I've seen Twilight Zones where they just show their version of hell.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. They've just borrowed from whoever they wanted. Whoever had
Whoever.
the most advantageous part of hell they needed to convince people to believe, that's what they took.
Yep.
I remember the Greeks, the Hades, The one old boy rolls a boulder up the mountain and then it rolls
Oh,
back
yeah.
down. One of them has buzzards picking his eyes out all the time. And,
Yeah, and then regenerates.
and these
then
were
starts
heroes.
over.
They were good people.
Yeah,
Nobody gets out of Hades.
yeah. The one that was getting his eyes built, I think he was the one that gave fire to man. That was.
It could be. I don't.
I don't remember all of them. There's
Yeah.
so many stories there. It's
I can't remember all my Greek mythology. It's been many, many, many years ago. I just remember some of the stories about the
Yeah.
Hades. I think they talk about them in the Iliad some. When
yeah,
Achilles' mom Thetis goes down to dip him in the river Styx and all that. Or maybe it was the Odyssey with Odysseus goes across the river Styx. Has to go through Hades.
oh yeah,
Something like that. Fuck, I don't know. It's been a long time since I read those books.
yeah. It's been a while for me.
So, I agree. Hell is just a tool used by the religious to break you down and keep you in the cult. And I'm sorry for those people that believe it. But the only
Yeah.
problem is, at death, it no longer matters because you will never know anything again. I mean, it's just over at death. And that's, I think. All right, let me run this by you. I was watching a show the other night. No, it wasn't either. I'm sorry. See, my mind is so fucked up right now. I have been listening to a book. And it's a very good book. And I'm going to tell you the author and the book
Okay.
as soon as this gets. Oh, The Big Picture on the Origins of the Universe and the like. It's by Sean Carroll.
Okay.
And he's describing the universe and its creation, or creation. Yeah, fuck no, he didn't describe its creation. Universe and how it's set up right now, and for us, what's it mean for us to be rational thinking beings in a universe that really doesn't make a lot of sense? I mean, we understand
Yeah.
a lot of physics, but we don't know when or where it's going or how it's going to get there for sure. I think it's going to be complete heat loss in the future. I'm sitting here thinking, and I've got a lifespan that's less than 100 years out of a 14.5 billion year old universe or whatever they've got it rated at now.
Yeah.
It's like, how insignificant that can make you feel when you look at it.
Oh yeah.
And that's also a seed for religion because you will live forever. Just believe, the ones that don't believe, they're going to live forever too, but it's going to be in hell. And what a tool,
Yeah. What?
Because when you're sitting there looking at that, it's like, what is, it really makes you feel lonely and insignificant at times when you think of it. But then if you look at it for real, we are sentient. We can rationalize. We can feel the universe. We know the universe exists. We're not like a dog or a cat or a snake or something that, just does its instinct things and does a little, you get into the upper mammals, they can do more, but we understand the universe is there, and we are discovering things about it all the time. I feel more sorry for like ancient Greeks and all that don't know as much as we do. They didn't know man could go to the moon and and the next generation is going to be even more so. The things, if less the theocracy takes over.
Yeah.
If the Christians take over, you'll see an end to all science programs. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
need them because you just pray to God for shit.
Yep. That's.
But that book is fucking awesome by Sean
Okay,
Carroll.
by Sean Carroll.
Yeah, it's very good. The Big Picture. I'm not quite finished with it yet, but he is a very awesome author.
That's cool.
He's explaining quantum theory and all, which I don't understand very
yeah,
well,
that-
but it
that's over
helps.
my
Everybody
head.
you hear it from, it helps just a little bit more, but I don't. I never got into calculus or any of those types of things.
Yeah. Neither did I, but there was something else I was going to bring up on the Hells. Let me see here what I've got. It was... Oh, I can't remember now.
You have old man memory too.
Yeah, because there was something... It probably wasn't very important. It probably just was...
Well, I noticed a lot of these hells run together. Most
yeah,
of them are
maybe that's
either
what my problem is.
well, most of them are either an endless sleep away from God, or the punishment and appraisal type thing, where you get to go to heaven and kowtow to God for an eternity, or you get to go to hell and get burnt for an eternity. And I don't know which one's worse. The constant boredom of just kowtowing to a God sitting on a throne, or getting burnt and poked with pitchforks and all that shit.
Yeah.
But they're so damn similar. A lot of the older ones, like the Greeks and the Sumerians. I think the Greeks got a lot of theirs from Sumeria or whatever. But you died, you stayed on this world because you went to this cave. Your spirit did, and it just wandered around a half state of thinking it's still alive, but it's not. And they'd stay in this cave world and live as a spirit forever. I mean, there was all kinds of things on it, but none of them are true. Not a one of them.
No.
And of course, Dante wrote so much about hell, the 9 circles of hell and all that he had hell's froze over. Satan was frozen into a rock in the middle of it. With his upper body was out of the frozen material.
Oh, shit.
It was crazy stuff.
Damn, that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many takes on hell.
Yeah. That's what it was when we were talking about the Jews and all that stuff. How they talk about hell. That's what it was. I was going to bring up. There was the ones that studied the mysticism, which is like the Kabbalah and stuff like that. They think that this is where they get the idea of the 7 circles of hell, because they think there's 7 levels of heaven, but there's also 7 levels of hell, and depending on what you've done, depends on what level you get put to and who's over you.
You said that 7 layers of heaven. That Richard Carrier says he thinks Paul was writing about Jesus, an angel in the second heaven, that he was having the Lord's Supper, and it was a ritual, I guess, they used to have. Oh, and I don't know anything about this history of Judaism or anything else, but evidently the Lord's Supper was something they wrote about having in heaven. The angels gathered for or something. I don't know.
Huh.
He's saying that's what the Jesus he was writing about, and I wouldn't have any idea. Because he never met a man, Jesus. So I have no idea. But yeah, what do you mean second heaven? Well, the first, one of the heavens, there's an exact copy of every one of us, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Then they put the imperfect ones here on Earth to fuck around with each other or something. It's like, what a weird... I mean, they had too much campfire time to think all this shit up.
Way too much campfire time to come up with all this stories and stuff. They were probably taking some good shrooms at the time.
Yeah, well, the Levites were supposed to be the rabbi branch of the Israel clans. They had complete control of the marijuana and stuff. They had control of all the psychoactive elements. And I'd say there was a lot of tripping done because they didn't have anything else to do. That was the deal. They were supposed to tie us to the priesthood. So they got 10% of everything. They got the first of everything. Sacrificed to God. I don't know. They said they ate it too. I guess the priests got to eat that stuff.
Well, I think so.
I don't know. I wasn't interested enough to look that up either.
No, I wasn't interested enough to look up that.
It's kind of stupid to kill your first crops off to burn to somebody that you don't even know exists because you think he's going to give you the flu.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, Gehenna. Remember, speaking of the Jews, a lot of the ancient Jews would, they said, well, they'd throw their children and stuff. Well, they sacrificed first of everything to their God, some of them. And Gehenna was that valley. It said it was burning all the time. That's where they burned all their refuse and stuff, and that some of them would take babies there to burn.
Oh, hell.
I've heard people, they're going to get in trouble because that's why Jews were spread to the world, because they burnt babies. Well, it was an offering to their God.
Yeah.
Some of it. It's like they believed in sacrifice all the way, and they keep saying, oh, they didn't do human sacrifice, but they did off and on. It's just Jesus was supposed to stop all sacrifice, supposedly. But I think they'd like to bring it back.
Oh, I'm sure they would. They'd love if they could bring it back.
Yeah, some people, that's what they feel total control with, is drawing the blood out of whatever. Yeah. But yeah, Gehenna had a lot to do with hell. Okay. I wondered if that's part of, like, Egypt's and Rome, everybody had a little bit of fire. Then Gehenna was in their history too. So you're just going to burn in those fires of hell forever for whatever your sins were.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to twist things around to your advantage somehow in it.
Oh yeah. If you don't, then it doesn't.